The MoneroTopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
All right, so yeah, let's go ahead and just knock out the price report. Nothing really too crazy happened this weekend or over the week, so there's really not much to talk about, honestly. Starting with Monero, obviously, we effectively had a little bit of a movement towards the upside. Let's see, let's make sure that I get all this right. Yeah. So when we got off the horn, things have basically been flat. I mean, like super flat. Like in the last time we talked on Saturday, price was maybe, I don't know, probably like 324, and it's still basically like 323. So yeah, prices barely moved at all, a little bit down, a little bit up, which is kind of, that's kind of what I'm expecting here. I don't expect the next big leg up for Bitcoin or crypto to happen immediately. I really, I do see some consolidation in the cards. This bull market is also not going to look, it already hasn't looked like other bull markets, but you're not going to get the crazy mad gains on Bitcoin and most of crypto in the ways that you got them in 2021 and 2017. Like those days are over, guys. It's long gone. In fact, it's kind of something I really should kind of want to talk to you guys about to understand where things have gone in the cycle, like where we are in the bigger picture. Effectively, we've entered the long game. We've entered a situation where, the diminishing returns have come in. And the low-hanging fruit, the easy juice to squeeze has been squeezed, whether that's in a price sense or whether that's in a development sense. Now there's obviously there's going to be coins here and there that make mad gains. I'm not saying there will never be another 100x coin, right? That would be silly to say. What I am saying though is that, the big boys are involved. They've been involved for years and years now. The major projects have pumped. There will still be some that do big gains, but they're going to be harder to come by. And so if you've got these dollar signs of riches in your eyes about trading shitcoins to glory and success and fame, if you couldn't do it by now, you're probably not going to do it. Like, let's be real. If you didn't catch that wave in 2021, you've got this one last wave to catch, and then it's over, right? Like this is the last one, guys. After that, it's like pure steady state, diminished returns. Again, Monero's going to go up as people adopt it, as it gets used, as the network gets stronger and gets better. Monero's price is going to go up, and we could even have explosive growth to the top side merely because of how suppressed it's been. And so if any of those forces correct back to normal, Monero could see big price movements. But I wouldn't expect 100x price movements, and I don't even want 100x price movements in Monero. That's unhealthy. And the only possible way that could be justified is if people are actually buying and using it, like some mass adoption wave happens. Sorry, excuse me. Got some phlegm in my throat this morning. All right. Anyways, so yeah, okay. So that's Monero price. We're like kind of flat and sideways. I don't really have any opinions on where we're going here in terms of Monero's US dollar fiat based price, which I know Shortwave gasps every time we look at the XMR USD ratio. I'm sorry, Shortwave. So what are we going to look at then? Monero's relative price to Bitcoin, right? How good is it doing next to the big abusive daddy of a main coin I don't know, not a stable coin, but anyways. Yeah, so we've got this downtrend, kind of like concerted downtrend, that not too surprising. Like ultimately, I expect this downtrend to continue just a little bit more. Maybe we could hit some kind of support right there in that area. This chart honestly wouldn't be too surprising at some point to come touch this lower standard deviation area. It doesn't have to be immediately, right? It could do kind of like this, and then a little pump and like that, and then maybe down here. When Bitcoin decides to finally pump later. And when I say when Bitcoin decides to finally pump, I mean when they finally decide to pump Bitcoin some more, whether that's through M2 money printing or other means of liquidity expansion, right? Like they're going to pump, right? They're going to pump liquidity into the markets. But anyways, nothing exciting happening here with Monero, guys. I'm sorry. No price excitement. I don't know. Monero versus ETH, not doing so great either, but still flat from the last time we talked. So, all right, let's look at the crypto. let's look at the cryptos and see if anyone wants to talk about the cryptos. Starting with Bitcoin. So yeah, Bitcoin had a little bit of a dippy dip right here, but again, nothing big. What is this, the 4 hour? Yeah, so I don't know. I guess kind of hit one of those spots. Really, the main spot is this guy, but you don't even want to get there, right? You get down there and you start thinking, oh, no, maybe it's over, right? Maybe you've got to come and visit some lower level. With the way that this bull market is unfolding, guys, don't be surprised if we visit maybe not 100K, but like 105, 110, right? Don't be surprised if we visit down to those levels again before things can go up. I mean, we did have a breakout, but this breakout wasn't all that impressive, right? Like, I mean, it did what we thought it would do, right? We got, I guess, 15% there. But again, with this theme of diminishing returns, let's look at this breakout relative to the other breakouts of this sort of, I don't know, I guess long trend bull market since about 2023, right? We bottomed, and I mean, to call it a bull market, maybe that's a little bit, I don't want to say exaggeration, but all right, let's look at the last breakout. We got 62% on the last breakout from like the sort of like breakout point. Right now, we got 15% right on the last breakout. Before that, going back here, let's move back to, I don't know, 2024, 2023. Right. So when was the last breakout? That one was another 65%. Right. This other one here, we said 61%. I don't know. We go all the way back to 2023. Maybe we could say like 73%. Now, maybe this breakout is just getting started. That's possible. I don't want to be impatient here and pretend like, hey, it's over. All I'm saying is that I have the feel that at best things can kind of like meander up, meander onto the upside over the course of months. A little down, a little up, a little bit of gasping here and there, but but overall, like, okay, we are in a bull market. But again, I'm just trying to impress upon you that this bull market is not going to be like the last one where we go from 20K to 60K in short order, right? Like, let's take a look at this last bull market. And we'll look at it from the point of breakout, right? So just from the point of, hey, okay, we recovered from when the economy caught a cold in 2021. And then we broke out at like 480%, guys. That's like, I mean, that's just massive. What am I looking at there? BTC. Yeah. Okay, sorry. Yeah, where we broke out from 10,000 up to almost 60,000, right? Like, that's not happening. We are not breaking out from, I don't know, let's just say that this is the breakout point right here at 68,000. You are not getting a 5x from 68,000 up to like 300,000. It's not happening. So anyways, sorry to be a negative Nancy here this morning. I don't mean to be. I just want people to understand that the game is different. You're not, same with the shitcoins, right? You're not getting the kinds of crazy gains that you had in the past. Here's total. Let's go to total 3, because that's the total cryptocurrency market cap minus Bitcoin minus Ethereum. And right now, shitcoins are in aggregate, $1 trillion, guys. Remember when we had $1 trillion total market cap before? We're like, wow, this is amazing. And now we've got $1 trillion of just shitcoins. Yeah, and these things are used. I mean, people use them for payments for like little stuff, right? Online, but like they're not massive parts of the economy by any means. Monero's got the darknets obviously and dominates there. Anyways, let's go to the weekly and check this guy out on the weekly. Yeah, so
price your items in Shiba Inu.
Yeah, exactly. Like the Shiba Inus are going to come fewer, farther and fewer between from here on out. So, yeah, I mean, again, this just, if you think like, hey, it's time for the next bull market, let me just throw spaghetti at the wall and hope that I can just get any bullshit. That's probably not how it's going to work. There will be a moment where that kind of happens. But that's just not going to be like it was last time. It didn't matter what you bought in 2021. As long as you bought any project that was relatively new and was kind of like, supported by feelingly the big boys, you were going to make crazy gains. And even other coins like like the Richard Hart coin that he launched, even that stuff was just gonna massively pump. You're not going to get that this cycle, and it's becoming clear. I think everyone kind of, just in case you hadn't fully put that together in your mind, but I think everyone already has this intuition. So I'm just articulating what you kind of already know. So yeah, it looks like maybe we'll still get our alt season kind of ish, right? Like there's no reason why this chart has to find a support here. There's no reason why this chart can't come down another 11%. And over the long term, maybe that can't go down another 25% on the Bitcoin dominance. And that's massive, right? When Bitcoin loses that many percents of dominance, we're talking like $1 trillion of relative. valuation change there. So don't expect that to happen immediately. Like this thing could easily just take its time, kind of doing something like this, and maybe, right, it could take some time, but we could be going into next year looking for, alt season might be this like very slow event that barely feels like it's here, even as Bitcoin dominance sort of wanders towards the downside. And maybe a lot of that could be driven by ETH potentially. ETH had this crazy, like fallout and then come back. So, I mean, from a US dollar standpoint, Ethereum chart actually didn't really do anything too outlandishly crazy. It did get hit much worse by the macro crash / scare than Bitcoin did, but it did sort of come down to exactly that level you'd expect it to, right? This is the place you expect support, those standard deviations, and now it's back up here at the top side. This is a good pattern overall for ETHUSD in general, and because Ethereum is such a foundation of obviously the coin that we all love so much, Tether. So that the United States can affect its power projection into other locales like China and Latin America and Russia, places where the dollar, I mean, it's valuable, guys, like it really is. Anyway, so maybe the Bitcoin Ethereum ratio will come back here. I don't know. This chart looks way whack to me, but whatever. What are you going to do? Maybe this thing could come towards the top side. I'm not really holding my breath for that anymore. All right, shitcoins. Did anyone do anything good this week? Has anyone pumped? No.
We do have a super chat shitcoin question.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, we have
from Tari Enjoyer.
Go ahead.
Tari Enjoyer tipped 0.1 Monero. When Fluffy Ponzi do Tari pump?
I've been forgetting to look at. That's a good point, Tari Enjoyer. Enjoy it with an E. Shouldn't that be two O's?
That's Minotari, by the way, on your like coin geckos and stuff like that.
Yeah, let's go to. Oh, I already have it pulled up here. If I don't throw my mouse away. All right. Minotari. Dude, I would like to know why it's Minotari and not just Tari. Like, did someone front run?
When you're starting up Tari, it actually says starting Minotari node. So like when you're actually starting the application, that's what it says. So maybe that's why.
But I mean, like, I don't think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think Rick wanted to name it Minotari. He always referred to it as Tari. He never referred to it as Minotari back in the day. So did someone front run him and just like grab that name up? Or is it just that there's so many goddamn coins that that Tari was taken? Like they got every 4-letter combination. There's only 10,000 of them. So, well, no, actually I'm retarded. I'm wrong. That would be 26 to the power of 4. So there's a way more than yeah, never mind. Anyways, yeah, I don't know when Minotari is gonna pump. It's wow. I said earlier, hey, but listen, this is the situation when it comes to new coins. God, people are so impatient. You guys have to understand, like, when you buy some brand new project and it pumps real quick and then it dumped and it's still early on, it's just a few months, you have to buy that thing with an amount of your net worth that you don't care about. Like, it could be 1%. Maybe 1% is too much for you to lose. Maybe 1% is nothing to you. Put something that you don't care about. If it goes to 0, you're like, fuck it. Let's go bowling, dude. Right? Like, and then you just let it sit there. Okay. You don't even think about it, right? Don't refresh the page. Don't come back in a week, like come back in a month and be like, okay, well, whatever. Come back in 6 months and then, wait until you start hearing other people talk about it. Forget about it. And then someone's like, oh yeah, have you heard of this new coin? And you're like, oh shit, that's right. I have that coin. And then go check out the price, right? You just leave it, because new coins can go up like 5x, 10x, 20x, 100x, right? Contrary to what I was just saying previously, some of these new coins can actually do that. It's going to be more and more rare, but it can happen. But if you don't allow that to happen, right, then you're like hurting yourself. So the kind of the rule of thumb is, is it life-changing money? If it is, then you need to start selling. But anyways, like otherwise, like just don't be on the chart over and over again. Just buy it, forget about it, because it can really go up. I don't know if Tari can or will go up. Guys, I also don't believe that there's a huge market for private smart contracts at the moment. They're for private tokens, private non-fungible assets, which is kind of like my complaint about about Xano. Like, I just don't see where's the demand for that. Like, we barely have enough demand for Monero as it is. Like, and we're gonna add on this other stuff. Anyways, Okay, we have another
Yeah.
one from Kim.
I bought 33 Monero worth of Tari, and it's like if it goes to 0, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe it goes 100x, and then you're like, oh, cool, that's a nice payday, right? It's a nice windfall. I think we also had one from Anon. I don't, and it's for Doug, so maybe we'll save it for later. But I just want to point out that a guy named Anon tipped 50 cents.
Yeah, I saw that one. I just hadn't read it yet because of the fact that it was for Doug, so I was going to wait on that.
Okay, and then we have Kim here as well. So Kim tipped 32 cents. Question for Bowdy about the price report. Where do you get the prices from and why? Is there such a thing as a well-defined price? For example, someone might want to buy a thing without KYC and be willing to pay more. What is the real price of XMR? Well, if you want to know the real price of XMR, there's a few ways to find out. You can check what the exchanges are listing them for. You can, some exchanges have slight divergences. We actually look at that. Let's go here. We can look at the price divergences. These are very, very small. At most, we see these at like 1% now. I think this is volume adjusted, so let's remove the volume adjustment. Now, is in terms of, what is something worth? Well, something's only worth what people are willing to pay for it. So if your privacy and non-KYC is worth something to you and you're willing to pay for it, then I guarantee you could find some Monero bros that are willing to sell you, privately for cash, or gold or something else. You could go to all of the different like places that have been set up for this, right? So if you're looking to buy gold backs or if you're looking to sell gold backs, or maybe you have some gold coins or silver, go to xmrbazaar.com and you can list, right? Say, hey, I want to sell you this thing, and I'm willing to pay you more than the market price for it, for the Monero, more than the exchange price, the exchange listed price. You can also highly recommend going to RetoSwap, which is, it's basically like our BISC. Probably, I don't know if you've heard of BISC, but it's a peer-to-peer decentralized swap platform that was developed over many years and is now functional. And I think we've got, I don't know what our volumes are, but yeah, that would be like your street value price, right? If you go to RetoSwap or RetoSwap, that's going to be your street price of Monero for the people that are like actually wanting to like trade with Venmo or Zelle or cash or whatever, right? Like there's a bunch of different ways you can buy it. So I hope that's a comprehensive enough answer. Shortwave, did I miss anything there? I'm sure I missed something.
As a general rule, you can probably expect to pay about 10% above whatever the exchanges say, because the exchanges are, you have to give up your firstborn child and a kidney, and things like RetoSwap is going to be a little bit more expensive in price, like probably about 10%, but you're not going to have to give up all that information to them.
I feel like I was checking the Monero price, and it kept, I kept seeing that it was like less than 5% typically. So I think there's enough liquidity. Go ahead.
I think that also depends a lot on the payment method. So if you're doing like cash by mail or money orders, you might be able to get it for, 5 or something like that. But if you're going to do like PayPal, Venmo, Zelle, especially things that can be reversed like that, you're probably going to pay somewhere between 10 and 20.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting. If RetoSwap guys are listening, you should put up a new screenshot because 163.88 is not the price here. The other thing too, it would be cool, guys, like RetoSwap, y'all should have like one thing that all exchanges do is they have like a little interactive chart that shows you what the current prices of stuff are without necessarily being the full thing. So it would be really cool if you guys could actually put a chart here that represents the average Monero price.
There is one of those, and I can't remember. I want to say it's like Monero Markets dot something. Oh God, I'm trying to remember that website now.
I just mean that, this is like the official site that you're going to go to if you want to download the RetoSwap client, and start using RetoSwap. And so it would be nice if you had like a little sort of mock interface here that kind of shows you, oh, here's what our chart, feels like. It's cool to like post a screenshot, but now you're way outdated on the price 163.88. So if someone comes here that doesn't really know, they're gonna be like, wait, why is it so cheap here? And maybe they'll figure it out, but it's just like it's a little piece of cognitive dissonance, that happens in your head when you're like, oh wait, this is just a picture. Well, okay, where's the actual price?
I see what you mean.
Yeah, it's just better. This is a slick site though. Like I'm not gonna lie, like this is a nice looking website. So that would be the only slight criticism, constructive criticism that I would have for them. So anyways, but I didn't make the site, so obviously I can't claim to be helping out. You know, I don't know if I could say that I'm helping in any kind of way. But
their source code for the website is on GitHub at the ReToSwap repository. So you could actually, if you wanted to, you could add that to their site and then submit it as a pull request.
I'm going to vibe code the shit out of that, bro. No, I'm probably not. I'm actually working on a bunch of other projects. All right. Let's see. Do we have anything else here? Yeah, we got Kim's question. Yeah, onward we go. Okay. Oh yeah, we were looking at shitcoins. Nothing happened to shitcoins. No one, like we are kind of like sort of entering this this altcoin season. We need a different name for it, like altcoin era. Yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know. Whatever. Nothing's happening here. AVAX seems to have outperformed everybody to the slightest degree here. Whatever. Link was up there for a while. It's still kind of up there, but yeah. All right. And then Monero, you know, we're basically just flat down here. So yeah, this all has the feeling of trying to induce liquidity into the market, right? They're trying to induce people to get excited again to start buying. And I'm here to tell you, be careful about doing that, right? Like don't be just dumping shitloads of money into projects that you're like, okay, it's time, right? Like be very cautious here, guys. So, okay, that's crypto. Let's look at Bitcoin versus Nvidia. I don't know why I wanted to look at this morning, but yeah. So if we look at this over the long term, let's just go to the weekly, right? So down here on the x-axis, you can see that basically since 2021, like if Bitcoin is dying to Nvidia, just like Bitcoin is dying to Dogecoin, hyper Nvidiaization, hyper Dogecoinization, that's where it's at, bro. Minus 90%, right? Bitcoin versus Nvidia. So you hear the maximalists tell you how everything else is a foolish investment, but then you're like, yeah, but you lost 90% of your value to Nvidia. Now, from the bottom to the top, you know, they've gotten about 2x of that back, but they've given about 30% of that back since Q1. So anyways, yeah, I mean, like in terms of the craze, where's everything going? It's all pivoted towards AI, you know, and even if you're pivoting towards AI now, you're like late to that game, right? Like the AI pivot really was like 2022, 2023, right? That was the AI pivot. AI is probably still going to outperform crypto, like in general, you know, Nvidia and semiconductor stocks and GPUs, stuff like that. It's slowing down. It's starting to slow down, but you know, it's still a big deal. They are also reaching diminishing returns in terms of what they can produce, what they can provide. And it's very poignant when you try and do certain things. I won't go off into a tangent there, but anyways, let's look at the macro. Dixie dollar index didn't really do much either. You know, again, we had the sort of bump up from this. This is literally like a 2 decades long trend line here at the bottom. Again, we won't go over that on this show today. I think Doug's trying to keep it a little short today for you know, he's on vacation. Let's see here. Oil is slightly raising an eyebrow for me right here. This is oil's ready to break down again. So I don't know. Like if oil's breaking down again, that's me saying, do we have to put the macro crash back on the table? You know what I didn't look at? I need to make a note. I need to look at the Trump tariffs and how that's going in the courts. I guess I've been focused on the Tornado Cash trial. Fucking kangaroo court bullshit show trial, whatever. Yeah, but anyways, the Trump tariffs are also on trial. At least one of the major pieces of the framework that they use to implement them is on trial. So yeah, if the strike down gets upheld, then that actually should spell more gains for the market. But at the moment, oil it's looking dicey. Maybe, you know, knowing what they do with oil and knowing how they juice and squeeze the market. So you've got this area right here. Okay. I just circled that. Oil basically above, let's just call it 65. Oil is currently like at 65, just below it. So it's possible that instead of riding in the 65 to sort of 68 support zone for months, maybe they can get oil, instead of just like macro crashing again, right? Maybe they can get oil to ride in this sort of like 60 to 65 area, right? So in other words, that would look something maybe like this, right? Maybe they could keep it, you know, doing something like that. If they can keep it stable, then okay. If we start seeing oil below 60, that's when I start to get worried again about the next macro crash, or about a continuation macro crash, right? Everything's been about the news cycle these days, like for the past months. Everything is news cycle. So you know, we got that macro crash timeline nailed down pretty good from January. I don't feel comfortable trying to say you know, when the next one's coming up here. it's too hard to say, guys. We got the courts involved. We've got a whole bunch of other bullshit going on. Everything's up in the air and everything's news cycle based. We're gonna have to stay nimble, and unfortunately we're gonna have to trade like fucking degens and listen to the news cycle. So for now oil's fine, but again, sort of raising an eyebrow in this zone here where you really want it to be a little bit higher than where it is now. Nothing to be concerned about just yet, but nothing to be excited about. Let's look at gold. Gold. So again, we talked about this last week. I'm going to keep reinforcing this. This purple line is my, oh my God, that's a top. That's a big top kind of line. Now, because of all the money printing and the liquidity expansion, and because the stock market now appears to be wanting to beat trend lines that are decades old. Let's go to the monthly time frame so that you can see this. This trend line goes all the way back to the 1929 euphoria peak, the first time the Federal Reserve blew a bubble. That trend line goes back 100 years, guys. And so we are now at the precipice of beating this trend line. All right, so we connected that to the .com. That's where this trend line comes from. Beating that trend line is just crazy. It's insane, guys, to think that we're going to actually get above this line and then stay above it. That is an exponent on top of an exponent, technically speaking. Like, this chart is more than exponential. So anyways, the point is that if they're, we've got the liquidity, we've got the expansion, everyone wants the mad gains, everyone wants the retirement, boomers, insert your meme, whoever you hate the most. Could be anybody, any group of people that people are prone towards hating, that are in vogue to hate these days. You could hate any of them and blame them, whatever. Blame central bankers. The point is that with all that extra liquidity, you start to wonder, okay, gold actually might perform. It might break my model, is what I'm saying, right? Gold could break my model. Normally, this model would say, this is your top, maybe at best a little bit of, this, and then down, right? But given the liquidity situation, given the inflation, it would not surprise me to ride this line up over some long period of time. Could even do this, right? We could come back and then get back to this line. So, but point is, the mad gains for gold that we saw for the past few years, where I've been like, gold is about to break out, boys and girls. Those days are also, for the meantime, coming to a pause. And I don't think gold is going to like 4,000, 5,000 anytime in short order, at least. It's going to take some time for gold to do that, but gold could continue to push, to knock on that glass ceiling that the cabal has imposed upon it. Reverse repos, nothing to see here, just sideways and flat. I'm not sure how relevant that is for us anymore. I would actually be, we used to look at the reverse repos all the time, but we're looking at oil now. Like, that's our tell. That's still our alpha. I still don't think people understand that oil leads the way, right? We knew that macro crash was incipient in the week or two ahead of time because oil had already crashed. So that's our alpha, guys. Just keep a look at that. If oil is dropping below 60 again, you need to start getting worried and start protecting yourself. So that's side note for everybody. Let's see. We already kind of looked at stocks, right? S&P positive throughout the week. NASDAQ positive. Let's see. Oh, here's one we hadn't looked at for a while. Single home families, single family homes, single home families. I guess it's the same. June. So June is usually the peak, and here we are, slightly higher than last June. This is good. This chart is not moving up with the kind of speed that it was moving up through. So if we look here, like, just draw a trend line right there. It's purple because I was messing around earlier. All right, there's our trend line. You'll notice that trend line is steeper than the current peaks that are happening. So that's good, because housing is already too unaffordable. And especially, like, if housing isn't, God, guys, if you think you're going to be investing in houses, like, you're going to have problems unless it's an extremely well-built house, because you have maintenance costs. So houses have to go up at a certain rate to offset those maintenance costs for you over the years. And that maintenance cost is also opportunity and time cost if you like do it yourself. So just know that, like, it's going to be hard to, like, flip houses and make money in that market. Again, you're sort of coming at the tail end of that whole hype. You'll need to find some other investment.
Houses suck,
man. Bro, one of the reasons it was easy for me to sell my house back in the day and buy Bitcoin was because of all the maintenance. I was just like, are you shitting me? Like, this thing wasn't built that long ago, and here's all these corners that got cut and all these, like, little problems. Like, why don't we build houses better, bigger, stronger? Maybe not bigger, but at least stronger and better, built to last instead of built to have to freaking replace everything all the time. And I know that's, like, some of that's unavoidable, but just seeing it firsthand, I was like, this is This is
Yeah,
not
you like the American dream is owning a home, and I've got to tell you that's bullshit. Like I've owned, like I'm living in this house now, and oh my god, it makes me miss renting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with renting, it's just none of it's it's not your problem. Somebody else's problem.
That and your Monero, well, like the amount of house you can buy for your Monero is going to continue to increase. So
yeah, actually, why don't we do this? This is dubious.
just
Let's
hold your Monero and.
What is the security info on this? Economics USSS
Rent.
FHP. Oh man, I think you're coming in and out. I'm kind of not hearing you.
Oh, great.
All right, I think I'm getting you a little bit better now. Maybe it could just be me. It's possible. XMR USD is not in the economy. All right. Let's take a look at this and see how housing prices. How much do houses cost in terms of Monero? Well, housing prices are actually going down in terms of Monero. We're on the. Let's go to the monthly. This chart only makes sense on the monthly. Yeah, I mean, look at that, right? It's costing you less Monero over time to buy a house. So there you go. Our stable coin, right? Stable even to house prices. Monero is stable even if you compare it against housing prices. All right. Let's see. Anything else? Macro. I said we'd start looking at velocity. Honestly, I think the reason I stopped looking at velocity is because velocity is ironically slow moving. Yeah. As long as this thing doesn't start moving up again, we won't have inflation dangers. Let's see. M2 money supply continues going up, but these are delayed statistics. The unemployment, I was kind of hoping we'd get some new unemployment numbers by now. It looks like we're going to get some next week. So I guess I can report to you guys whatever happens next week on the unemployment. But that unemployment is a good thing for us to sort of double check our, hey, macro crash thesis is off the table for now. If it stays flat or goes down, or really even stays below the 4.2 area, right? It doesn't go above this flat top, then we're still stable, right? We still say, hey, macro stable, and macro stable equals up, right? It doesn't have to equal up next week, but it does mean up overall. It doesn't have to mean up violently, but it just means, moving higher, right? Just drifting higher. Stock market's drifting higher. Again, let's look at Bitcoin crypto one more time. I want to give you a good idea of where you might expect this thing to go over the next week. A few weeks ago, I think it was either 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said, hey, the name of the game here is going to be to play inside of kind of a range bound area. Yeah, so Bitcoin did take a dip, right? Bitcoin did move down. So after some amount of ranging, Bitcoin did take a tumble, and that was that this week? Was that yeah? That was yesterday. I guess I wasn't paying attention, guys. I missed it. Did that happen overnight? Yeah, okay, there we go. That happened like late at night. Yeah, okay. So that was just the 2 hour. So we got a dip here overnight on Bitcoin, but it's back again. It's back in that range. Let's go to the 1 hour. The fact that it dipped down and then came back up is
hey guys, just checking in for a second, buddy. Can you hear me decently?
Yeah, we can. I'm basically done, bro. So I'm pretty much done here with.
Okay, good. No, yeah, go ahead, wrap up, finish up. I was just going to ask though too. Did you see the large 80,000 Bitcoin sale that happened? Curious.
Yeah, actually.
Thoughts are on that.
Was it a sale or did they just move?
They moved they moved it to Galaxy Digital, and then Galaxy Digital sold them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what this is then. That's interesting. Wow, so 2.5% movement on an $80,000 Bitcoin sale. So what is that? 80. Oh, I can't do public math. It's 80. Let me just do it in a spreadsheet. 80,000 times 100,000.
Like 8 billion.
8 billion is 8 billion. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So 8
Yeah,
billion
like 8
sold.
billion,
2.5% down.
Hardly move the market at all.
That's pretty good. Like that actually shows pretty good liquidity. I mean, you have to know that someone with that much money didn't just like call up Galaxy Digital a couple days ago and be like, hey, I think I want to sell my Bitcoin now, right? They've probably been coordinating this for months. So yeah, they probably knew it was coming, and the point is that they probably want to figure out how to absorb that into the market without having to crash the price too badly. So it's possible, you know, like it's possible that something like this, where you sort of tapered off for a period of time, it's possible that that's actually a reflection of them sort of selling slowly into the market over time, and then you actually saw the transfer take place, like get effectuated. You know, so maybe Galaxy Digital was selling ahead of time, knowing that was coming, and then they actually did maybe the I don't know how they received their funds, but let's just say it was a wire transfer, right? Then maybe they actually actually sold a big chunk of it and did a wire transfer here, but maybe they were actually selling throughout this area. Total speculation. I'm just saying, like, don't think that necessarily this is equal to 8 billion only caused 2% drop in the market. Nevertheless, that still does indicate solid liquidity of Bitcoin to be able to absorb that much money at once. So hopefully that's not too much verbal equivocation.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, where are we looking at Bitcoin going from here? I mean, it still looks stable. The fact that event, or at least the news of that event, only caused this much downturn, and then things are basically back at the 118 mark. That's still pretty good. So overall, again, macro stable. Still looking for altcoins to hopefully, meander on to outperform Bitcoin. To edge out Bitcoin slightly. I think that's where the cabal, if I was the cabal, that's where I would want to try and pivot things. If we feel like the macro is stable, if we're going to step higher, trend, mildly higher, then you're going to want to get people into that altcoin mindset again. You're going to want to get them buying those bags you printed for free. So the point here is that I think consider sideways chop with the potential for upside, with a slight bias for altcoins. That would be my, that would be my overall synopsis here. Monero hash rate's good. Basically flat. We don't even need to look at the number of transactions per day. I'm sure it hasn't changed. 25,000. Yeah, that's good. We're centered around 25,000 overall. That's an improvement from the years past. So. I don't know if I've lost you guys or if you guys lost me.
Nope, we're still here. By the way, I don't know if you heard it earlier, but I was telling Kim that I believe you're using TradingView for your actual charts, but I'm not absolutely certain on that.
Oh yeah, these are all TradingView charts. TradingView comes with scripting. It's called PineScript. So if you want to come in here and make your own stuff, which I do, the stuff I show you doesn't nobody has this. This is all custom stuff that I made myself. So yeah, I've got got my wave magic, as I call it. That's all these wavy lines that are standard deviations, and they're magical because you just when I had the idea and I dropped it in there, I did not expect something that this looks like a natural process at work, right? Like even just for the here's the dollar versus peso. This is a natural process at work. Now I'm just sort of mapping those natural processes and what are happening, but right, the market is its own thing, right? This is just in my mind, this is a map. Right? It's a certain type of map of the market. It's partially a psychological map, an intuitive psychological map. And other times it just works even for stuff that people aren't looking at. So I don't know why it doesn't always work, but I don't know why it seems to work so well, even for stuff that people aren't necessarily looking at. Like when you divide something out by another thing, right? Like we just looked at Bitcoin divided by NVIDIA. Like I guarantee you there are very few people that are looking at the Bitcoin divided by NVIDIA chart, right? Let's go backwards here and see if we can find that chart. Here it is. Yeah, there's very few people looking at Bitcoin divided by NVIDIA. But anyways, yeah, it still works. But yeah, I use TradingView because the tooling that they have is pretty good. Could be better, but it's better than nothing. So yeah.